up and move it forward and back, but then also you're doing this part here.
Yeah, so that's so that I get a different position on the roller. You know, kind of like when you're using
It's like
a brayer,
moving the brayer.
and you're like, if you keep going the same,
Right, the same.
back and forth, you're not gonna cover.
Right,
Yeah.
so you are
You have to
lifting
pick it
that,
up.
right, lifting,
Yeah.
disengaged,
Exactly.
engaged again,
Yeah.
right?
So that
That's
I'm
why-
getting the full circumference of the roller.
Right. That motion, you have two hands,
Yeah.
right, both actively.
Yeah. And I mean, I just have done this enough because I have had this press for, well, not this,
Right,
the same
right,
press
same model, yes.
for 24 years,
24 years, okay.
something like that. So, okay. And you'll see on some of these, there's like a bald spot where it's not picking up ink. Do you see that? I wouldn't worry about that so much. What the most important part is that we see this roller is pretty consistently green. And
The
then
oscillator.
the oscillator is consistently green, and then the form rollers, you can double check and see that they're looking pretty consistently. Here, let me flip that up.
So it doesn't matter, original when the roller looks quite uneven, doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
I see. So those two small outside rollers on the upper level don't necessarily have to be fully all inked.
Right.
So as long as this one.
But the
one and the-
oscillator and then the
Oh.
two form rollers.
Yeah.
Why these two little uneven, like center is not this?
There's a couple things that could be going on. One could be depending on when the rubber foam rollers were last recovered. If they're older, they could be swollen. On the outer part, they tend to swell, or it could be more worn in the middle, potentially, or there could just be, some, low spots in the metal.
But eventually, even there's this kind of spot, empty spot on both rollers, eventually evens out onto those rubber rollers. And
Yeah.
What are you calling oscillator?
Oscillator. See how it goes back and forth?
Oh, I see. So
It has this worm gear you can see it here when I turn it back. See this?
yeah.
It has this worm gear that enables it to like float back and forth.
Right. So as long as this one is flat and the foam rollers are flat,
Yeah, you're good.
evenly applied.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And it might be as we keep going that this works itself
Yeah, but
out.
really what's happening here, when you lower that down, what's happening is this is where you put the ink on this skinny little metal
Yeah.
roller. It's touching this rubber roller here,
Yeah.
and this roller is transferring to the oscillator, and these other rollers are almost just kind of supporting it in a way. It's almost like they're not part of the deal, the
Yeah, I mean,
ink
they're,
transfer mechanism.
yeah. I mean, they're definitely,
Does
Help at-
your look different? Does your press look different than that?
it has all the same rollers. I
No,
would say,
but the way the rollers look in terms of evenness.
I would say mine are a little more even, but at the center, like
Yeah.
even when you look at their army of
Yeah, yeah.
Vandercook 4s, I mean, you'll see some that will have a roller like this where there's nothing, and it's
Yeah.
just like they have all had a life.
Yeah.
So, it's not unusual to see something like that.
And really all that matters is that the form rollers on the bottom
Yeah.
have full coverage.
Right.
Because that's what you're going to see in the final
Yeah.
product.
That's very important.
Yeah.
Remember that, right?
Yeah, that how it looks on top isn't what you're eating,
Yes.
right? What you're
Exactly.
eating is the stuff on the bottom.
Yeah.
So if the ink is getting there and nice and even, then you're good.
Yeah. And this will